Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now this is my £132 or $175 gaming machine. Using this old Optiplex 390 as a starting point, I've upgraded a few key components and sold a few of the older ones to create this affordable and capable gaming system. It features an i5 2400 quad-core CPU, GTX 680 GPU and 6GB of DDR3 Ram. Starting with the base unit, and I paid £50 for this 390 on eBay, which originally included an i3 2100 and 3GB of RAM. I then purchased this GTX 680 for £70, which offers similar performance to a modern day GTX 1050 for almost half the price. This was purchased from CEX along with an additional 4GB of G-Skill Ripjaws memory for £10. It's a bit better looking than the other stock Dell stick of RAM, but an extra 4GB of RAM will greatly improve performance, and it still leaves room to upgrade to 8GB later on. This is also where I got the i5 2400 for £25, though they can be found in their hundreds on places like eBay and AliExpress for decent money too. To power this thirsty old card, I found this near brand new 550 watt power supply on Amazon's warehouse deals site. Amazon will sometimes significantly reduce prices on open box items or even unwrapped items like this, and it's always good to keep an eye out on the warehouse deals part of their website for bargains. Now this adds up to more than the price in the title, right? Well, one of the benefits of opting for a used pre-built when putting together a budget PC is that you'll have other parts left over, and selling them can help fund upgrades. For example, I sold the i3 2100 that was originally in this PC for £18 on eBay, more than I thought I'd get, to be honest. It turns out there's also a pretty keen market for Dell Optiplex power supplies, and I was able to sell the original 265 watt one online to a person specialising in Dell machines. This got me an extra £20 back, and that covered the cost of the new PSU. I also then sold the other 1GB stick of memory on Facebook Marketplace for a £5. Every little bit helps. This knocked a nice little sum off of the total cost, and it's as easy as sticking everything you don't want on eBay to reduce the total spend. So what can a machine like this do? And how well does this i5 2400 hold up at the centre of it? As you can see by the Cinebench R15 multi-core test, the 2400 blows the previous i3 2100 out of the water thanks to its 4 physical cores and threads, though the i3 still did a pretty respectable job in my opinion. This will be a nice upgrade in both games and content creation, and I edited the entirety of this video using the i5 with no slowdown or other issues, but this was built to be a gaming PC after all, and game it shall, but how well? Well, let's take a look and see how it handles some of the newest as well as popular releases. Starting with the popular Fortnite, and this PC allowed us to turn things up to high and maintain an above 60 FPS average throughout my entire test match. Of course, you can drop things down to medium or even low if you like to see a much higher average, but as with throughout, I've tried to find the settings that create a nice mix of graphical fidelity and performance. Looking at the MSI Afterburner figures, and you can see that the i5 2400 still has more to give, whereas the 680 is actually holding the CPU back. That's why these old Sandy Bridge i5s are still great investments in my opinion. In Overwatch we had no trouble averaging over 100 FPS here with the high preset, and nothing else changed. For example, all anti-aliasing and resolution scaling settings were kept at default. Luckily Overwatch is a pretty easy to run game anyway, so our quad-core GTX 680 system made light work of this title. But what about some more demanding games? In The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, I selected the high preset, turn Hairworks off and anti-aliasing Hairworks off, and set the post-processing to medium. Here I saw 50 FPS. Customising the settings a little more would mean a closer to 60 FPS average, though the performance here in my opinion was pretty solid, and this game did a little better than I thought considering I turned things up. I've never played the Witcher DLC before, so seeing the colourful region of Toussaint was a welcome change. Far Cry 5 is probably the newest game on today's list and also one of the more demanding. With the 680 and i5 2400, the game averaged 48 FPS on the normal settings. If you're happy with a closer to 30 FPS experience, then turning these settings up to high would be a suitable option. The performance difference between low and normal isn't too significant, so I kept the settings at normal here for a little extra graphical quality. PUBG also ran on the system, and I have to say I did encounter some frame rate issues, as highlighted by that 0.1% low. I also got the message on screen regarding network lag, which may have played a part in some of the stutter, though the overall average was reported as 57 frames per second. After a few minutes into the game, the problem started going away, and the gameplay smoothed itself out a bit, and the recent updates and optimization tweaks to this game means it runs a lot better than it used to. Overall, this budget PC seems like a capable Full HD system, and it doesn't perform too differently from the new build I put together a few days ago, one that I said myself doesn't represent great bang for your buck. It just goes to show that it's always worth considering the used market beforehand if you want to get the most performance out of your budget, and even with this system there's still room to upgrade should you want to, and thanks to the Socket 1155 CPU still being home to some very capable processors, you should be able to squeeze a little more performance out of a system like this if you wanted to. So guys, there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed this budget PC build. It's been a while since we've done a completely used system video, so I hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you did, please leave a like on this video. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.